Ring ring, hello? Alice? It's me. Hello, sis. I'll be arriving tomorrow afternoon, little brother. But sis. Click. My stepsister Irene always expected me to make time for her with complete disregard to my own plans. Of course, the fact that she owns the apartment I live in and I don't pay her any rent makes arguing about it a bit difficult. The place used to belong to me, including the other apartments in the building that had been my inheritance when my father died. Irene had her own real estate. Her mother had made sure most of the inheritance would go to her, and after making some bad decisions I began selling apartments to her whenever I needed some money until she owned them all and I ended up with nothing and still being in debt. It was quite humiliating to admit that I would be homeless if she threw me out and I had to beg her for more money. She would take over most of my liabilities and allowed me to stay in one of the smaller apartments, but in turn I would act as the janitor and boy Friday and cater to the wishes and demands of her rich society friends. She had rented all the apartments to, but she even paid me a small wage. Every time she comes to the city she stays with me. She expects me to clear out the bedroom, including the closet, for her use until she leaves again a few days later. I assumed it would be the same this time, but I was quite wrong about that. The first surprise was that she had brought her daughter. The last time I had seen the girl was more than 10 years ago, when she must have been 6 or 7. Now she was all grown up. Hello, Alice. Irene said you remember Nadine, right? She wants to look at some colleges in the city. So we will stay with you for a couple of days. Nadine has been driving us all the way up here. It was very exciting. She turned to her daughter. Give Alice the key, darling, so he can get our luggage. I faked a smile and said, Hi Nadine, but she ignored me. Why do you keep calling him Alice, Mom? Because that's his name, sweetie. It's Ellis. I tried to explain. It's pronounced Eli. Nadine gave me a look like she was annoyed by having to acknowledge me and said, Whatever, Alice. She took the key out of her purse but hesitated before giving it to me. Then she detached the part of the remote that would only allow me to access the trunk. It took me 3 trips to get all the suitcases they brought. Their car was parked a few blocks down the street and I had to walk all the way every time because I couldn't drive it closer without the key. You can cook dinner while we unpack, Alice. How about your wonderful salmon pasta? Do you like salmon pasta, Nadine? Sure, I guess. It felt humiliating that Irene gave me some money so I could get the good salmon. I had to go grocery shopping and then walk to a different store that had some fresh seafood. When I was cooking, Irene suggested I should be wearing an apron. I told her I didn't have one. I am sure there was one in the package I gave you, Alice. Where is it? She replied, referring to a huge box of clothes she dumped here some time ago to support me in my difficult situation. I had never even taken a look at it. I told her it was in the broom closet and she had a look and came back with a pinafore-type apron with frilly ruffles along the straps and hem. These are from Mother, she said. She would be happy to know they found some good use. You should always protect your clothes, Alice. I slipped into it somewhat reluctantly. Irene ignored my resentment and fashioned the wide straps into a large bow behind my back. Nadine didn't comment on it, but I could tell that she thought I looked pathetic when I served the pasta. Before I could sit down with them, I had to run to the store again because I didn't have Nadine's favorite beverage at hand, and then once more to get the dessert they had decided upon while I was gone. I had to reheat the pasta and eat by myself while they took to the couch with their ice cream to watch TV and talk. In the meantime, I did the dishes. Just when I was finished, Nadine came into the kitchen, dumped the dirty ice cream bowls into the sink and left without a word. They occupied the whole couch and the remote and just ignore me. When I tried to talk to Irene, they both shushed me simultaneously, so I decided to not bother them, sit at my desk and go on the internet to kill some time. Eventually they remembered me again when they asked what breakfast items I had. They made a list of things I didn't have and I had to run to the store once more to get everything they wanted to have in the morning. To say I was not happy was an understatement. I felt exhausted and tired from running errands all day, and I was glad to see that they had retired to the bedroom when I returned with the groceries. I put everything into the fridge and got a sheet and blanket from the broom closet where I had stored some of my stuff from the bedroom for the time being. I prepared a bed on the couch and took off my clothes, ready to go to sleep when I heard my sister's voice. "What do you think you are doing?" She was standing in the door to the bedroom in an expensive-looking negligee. "I'm going to bed." "Not like that. Put on some pajamas." It was the middle of summer and the bedroom was the only place in the apartment that had air conditioning. I told her it was too hot for pajamas and I didn't really have one either. "You are not going to run around nude in the apartment while Nadine is here." "This is not a debate." I was not nude, I was wearing underwear, but she was so angry that I didn't dare to argue. Okay, I replied and walked into the kitchen to get myself a t-shirt and sweatpants from the broom closet. Irene followed me, and when I opened the closet door she pushed me aside and started rummaging in the box of clothes she had given to me. "Here you go," she said and handed me what looked like a pink sweater and a pair of matching pants. "It's one of my old pajamas. I knew they had to be in here." She answered the puzzled look I gave her. "You just said you didn't have any. Now you do. Put them on." "I'm not in the mood to argue any more tonight, Alice." I sighed and took them. The fabric was soft but thick with snug stretch cuffs around wrists and ankles. The top had a glitter print that said "Lady" over the front. While I slipped into the top and bottoms, Irene took a large glass out of the cupboard, filled it with tap water and put it on the kitchen counter. "Drink." "I'm not thirsty." "You will be. You just complained that it is too hot." I took the glass. "I don't want you running through the apartment when you want a drink of water," she said while I was drinking. Once I had finished the glass she filled it again. "Here you go." "The acoustics are terrible here," she continued to explain. "You woke both of us when you returned. It sounded like an elephant stomping through the house." She filled the glass a third time. "One more for good measure. I expect you to stay in bed until it is time to get up. Nadine and I are going to start early. Set a silent alarm for yourself to have breakfast ready by 7 a.m. Be sure to be as quiet as possible." She rummaged through the box again and eventually handed me a pair of pink ballet slippers. They had no real sole and a little satin bow across the toes. "These are a lot more quiet than shoes. You are going to wear these inside the apartment from now on." I put them on and sarcastically tiptoed into the living room to the couch. "If you continue to give me an attitude, I may have to think about consequences, Alice. Do you think I have not noticed the face you made at Mother's apron? Do you even realize that it is her who thinks we should not abandon you as a family after all your past escapades? In fact, tomorrow I want you to send her a handwritten note telling her how much you appreciate her support. Be sure to mention specifically how grateful you are for her additions to your care package and how useful her pretty apron is to you." I sighed. "Yes, sis. You will wear the apron for all cooking and cleaning in the apartment. That includes the headband that came with it. Your hair is long enough to be kept in check. But yes, sis. If you don't take this seriously, you may find yourself tiptoeing to the homeless shelter, Alice," she said as she left the room. I could hear Nadine's muted giggle from inside as she closed the bedroom door behind her. Irene had put me in my place and made me realize what was at stake for me. I needed to keep her happy while she was here. Both of them. I had a hard time sleeping. Not only because I was thinking about my situation, but also because I was sweating in the pajamas and my bladder felt like bursting from all the water. I couldn't go to the bathroom, because it could only be accessed from the bedroom. Besides, I didn't dare to go against Irene's instructions and stay in bed. I slipped in and out of sleep all night, constantly checking the clock. Eventually, the vibrating alarm went off and I could finally get out of bed. I am sure Irene wouldn't be happy that I was standing up in the toilet, but I didn't care at this point. It was the most amazing feeling to finally be able to release the pressure and just let it flow. Then I woke up. I don't even remember, but must have cursed out loud when I realized I had wet myself. All I remember was Irene's and Nadine's expressions looking at me in my soiled pink pajamas when they opened the bedroom door to see what the commotion was all about. Irene was furious. "Go get a shower, quick. I'll find you some clothes." "Gross. He is walking through our bedroom, Mom," Nadine complained. "He is going to clean up his whole mess," Irene assured her. While I showered, I realized they probably wouldn't find any of my clothes. All my shirts and pants were stashed in the storage compartment under the couch. I was pretty sure they wouldn't look there. The bathroom door opened a crack when I was just about done. I heard Irene's voice. "I couldn't find any of your clothes, you will have to do with this for now." A couple of garments were tossed in through the gap, obviously they had found me something. Once I was clean and dried off, I had a look. It was a pink button-down shirt and the second item was a pair of white cotton tights. I guessed both came from my care package as well. I slipped into the tights and I put on what I thought was a shirt, but it was really long. It extended all the way down to my knees. I didn't care how I looked right now, I just wanted to be covered so I could go and get some decent clothing. When I stepped out of the bathroom, the ballet slippers Irene had assigned me the night before were waiting for me and I put them on. In the living room I found Irene and Nadine in the process of wrapping the entire couch in saran wrap. I thought that was a silly thing to do, but I didn't want to argue right now. I also didn't mention that all my clothes were inside of it. Irene told me to take care of breakfast when she noticed me and pointed at the apron on the kitchen counter. There was a thin hairband with a little bow on top of it. Thinking about Irene's last words before she went to bed, I put both of them on without debate. I cooked and served them breakfast when they finished wrapping, but before I could sit down with them, Nadine kept complaining about the smell and how much the couch bothered her until Irene agreed to get it out of the apartment right away. It was on me to push and pull and tug it all the way while the girls finished their breakfast and only came to my help to get it over the doorstep into the hallway. Just when I set it down, Miss Brothers came by. Miss Brothers was an older woman who lived upstairs. She was quite resolute and demanding. "Good morning, Miss Brothers," I said. She gave me a skeptical look as she walked past. Only then I realized how ridiculous I looked. The apron tied around my waist made the shirt look like I was wearing some kind of dress underneath. Then there were the white tights and ballet slippers, and to top it off I had a matching bow in my hair. I was suddenly feeling very uncomfortable and hurried back inside before anyone else would see me. "I put the dishes in the sink for you," Nadine said in a tone that implied she had done me a favor, when in fact she had thrown away my own breakfast before I could have any. While I did the dishes, she started complaining again about how I had walked through the bedroom with my soiled clothes and how they were still in the bathroom now and how gross it all was. She even hinted about how she had to sleep in my bed where this could have happened before. I tried to assure her that she had nothing to worry about, but she wouldn't calm down until Irene promised her that I would not only scrub the entire living room floor twice, including all the way to the apartment door, but also the bedroom floor, the complete bathroom, floor, wall tiles, shower and sink. In addition, I would put new sheets and beddings in the bedroom. The only thing I was happy about was that they decided that the pajamas needed to be thrown away. I put them in a trash bag, sealed it and put it on the couch in the hallway. While Irene went out to do some grocery shopping, Nadine stayed in the apartment. I had hoped they would both leave, so I could give the floor just a good once over with the mop and be done with it, but now I actually had to get a bucket and brush and do it for real. Nadine watched over me closely. She made sure I would move everything out of the way so I could get every single inch of floor. She even followed me around to make sure I wouldn't skimp out in the other rooms. She would sit on the bed, texting or playing on her phone while I scrubbed the bedroom floor around her. When I was done, she insisted I move the bed so I could also clean the floor underneath. She also had me turn the mattresses and put the old covers in the washing machine after I put on the new sheets. I was hoping I could avoid her scrutiny when I was doing the bathroom, but she told me to keep the door open so she could have an eye on me from her spot on the bed. What could have been done in an hour or two took me the whole morning that way. The only break I got was when Irene returned. Nadine left her observation position to go and talk to her mom. I took that opportunity to just wipe off the lather I had just applied instead of scrubbing it in with the brush. She would never know the difference unless she came back in the next minute. Luckily, they were talking without end in the living room and I was finally able to take a little breather. In fact, I was glad they took their time. The longer it took them to come back in here, the more plausible it was that I had actually cleaned everything the hard way. I was keeping the brush in hand, ready to pretend to be hard at work at a moment's notice, while I just wiped everything with a wet cloth. I was pretty happy about how well my little ploy worked out. Eventually, Irene peeked in through the door and asked, "Are you done yet?" "Yes, sis, I'm done. It's all clean now." "Good, you can make lunch now." I hurried into the kitchen and started cooking. I was really hungry since I didn't have breakfast and my stomach was growling. Again, I served them first, and before I could make a plate for myself, Irene had to start me on a complicated dessert for them that was apparently Nadine's favorite and just what she needed after everything she had to go through today. While I was still slaving away whipping some cream and making some batter, Nadine suddenly cried out, "Mom, look, he cheated." I didn't know what she was talking about and turned around. She was showing her phone to Irene and it had a video of me as I was cleaning the bathroom half-heartedly. Obviously, she had left her phone on the bed to film me through the open bathroom door. Irene was furious. She grabbed me by the ear and dragged me into the bedroom. "Stand here, hold out your arms," she said, in front of her bedside table. I obeyed and she took a number of thin metal bangles out of the drawer and put a bunch on each of my wrists. Then she dragged me into the bathroom where she gave me a toothbrush and a bar of soap. "I want you to scrub every single tile in the bathroom on your knees with this toothbrush, Alice. The floor and the walls, also the tub, the sink, the shower, and the toilet. Do you hear me?" "Yes, sis. I want to hear these bracelets jingle constantly as you put in some effort without pause. Do you hear me?" "Yes, sis. I don't want you to stop even when you are done. You will start again with the floor. Do you hear me?" "Yes, sis. You will only stop when you are told to, or you can walk right out of this apartment and into the street. Do you hear me?" "Yes, sis." "Good, now get to it." I dropped to my knees and started scrubbing. In the corner of my eye, I could see Nadine putting her phone on the bed with the camera facing the bathroom door. I was so incredibly hungry and tired, but I kept on scrubbing and cleaning with the bracelets jingling constantly. It felt so humiliating, but in some way I had to accept that it was my own fault and I paid for my laziness now. I heard some sort of commotion coming from the living room and there were male voices Irene talked to. I only stopped for a moment to listen, but Nadine would peek in and told me to keep going once the sound of my bracelets ceased, so I had no choice but to continue on. I had already finished the whole bathroom once and was just done with the floor the second time when Irene finally came back to inspect every nook and cranny and eventually told me that I would be done once I wiped everything dry. Nadine picked up her phone again, probably to check on my efforts herself. Once I was done wiping all the surfaces dry, I wasn't sure how to proceed, but I heard some giggling and laughing from the living room, so I guess their mood had improved a lot, and after nobody came back for another few minutes, I eventually dared to have a look. Much to my surprise, I found Irene and Nadine sitting on a new black leather couch. It looked really comfortable and also quite expensive. "Someone is in a good mood," I said. "Yes, we are," Irene replied. "Isn't it fabulous? Do you like it, Alice? You can thank Nadine for it. She made it very clear that she wouldn't sit on the other one ever again." It took a long, awkward pause until I realized that I was literally expected to thank Nadine. "Thank you, Nadine," I said. "Whatever, Alice," she replied, checking her phone. The delivery guys must have been really lazy, I thought. They didn't even bother to put it in the old place between two living room cabinets all the way back against the wall. Instead, they just put it down in front of the old couch spot. Now there was a huge gap between the back of the couch and the wall. It was frustrating, because I had just moved the cabinets around earlier when I scrubbed the floor, and now I had to do it again. "I guess I will have to make some room so it's gonna fit between the cabinets," I said with the hint of resentment. "What? No, don't worry about that, Alice. It's like that on purpose," Irene replied. "You know, we didn't think it would be a good idea for you to sleep on the new couch, in case you have another accident. Therefore, we made a nice little bed for you in the back." I didn't know what to think about that. I took a closer look and discovered that there was an inflatable mattress on the floor between the backrest and the wall, and with the cabinets on either side it was completely enclosed and felt more like a crib than a bed. "Am I supposed to climb over to get in?" I asked, a bit annoyed. I really didn't like how they hinted at me possibly wetting myself again. "Don't be silly. It is on rollers, we can just move the couch forward." They got up and used the tip of their heels to release the roller brakes on each corner of the couch, then they moved it forward so I could get to my bed. Irene, she handed me a fitted sheet. "Time to put on your beddings, Alice," she said, and Nadine giggled. I didn't know what was so funny about it. They watched me closely as I pulled the sheet over the mattress on my knees. I noticed that it had a raised outer rim, and Nadine's obvious suppressed giggling made me nervous. "This goes on top," Irene said, and handed me another sheet. I froze when I touched it. It was made out of rubber. "Don't even think about arguing, Alice. You will sleep on rubber sheets until I am convinced that you can control yourself." I applied the rubber sheets without a word, fuming on the inside, while Nadine took pictures of me. "How does it feel, Alice?" Irene asked. I let my hand glide across the surface and said, "Rubbery." Irene chuckled. "Of course, silly. I mean, how does it feel when you lie down? Try it out." I got on the mattress and laid down on my back. I could not stretch out all the way. The top of my head and my feet pushed against the cupboards. "It's a bit small," I said. "I am sure it will be fine. You can sleep either with your knees raised or on your side, in a more fetal position," Irene replied. While I shifted around a bit and raised my knees, they pushed the couch back against the cupboards. I heard Nadine giggle as the brakes clicked back in place. I was now completely confined from all sides and couldn't see them anymore, but heard them whispering and giggling. The door to the cabinet at my head was opened, and I heard a faint click. I raised my head to see what was going on as suddenly a loud ding-dong sound startled me. They both bursted into laughter at the surprised expression on my face. Nadine took several pictures of me, while the annoying sound continued until I ducked down again. "Works perfectly," Irene said, looking down at me and tapping the screen of her phone. "You see, I installed a little gadget here. It is an entrance alert that is usually used for signaling customers entering store. For you, it will make sure you stay in bed all night. It will register anything that will break the line just below the edge of the couch, she explained while she reached into the cabinet to switch it off again. We asked the delivery men to drill a little hole into your cupboard where it can peek through. That way you won't be able to tamper with it. It is an ingenious little gadget and it can be timed and remote controlled by an app on my phone. It will also alert me anytime it goes off even if we are away. I was completely shocked. I couldn't believe they would do this to me, but it was about to get a lot worse. Now there will be a few changes around here, Alice. Me and Nadine just wanted to stay for a couple of days so she could check out some colleges. Now you already made us miss all the appointments we made for today with your shenanigans. We need to make all new appointments, and I decided that I will also talk to all the tenants about your duties and how they can be improved, because I met Mrs. Brothers earlier and she told me you hardly ever respond to her calls. Really, sis, Shush. We are going to stay here until this is all sorted out, and for the time being there will be some new rules for you. First of all, there will be no arguing. You will do what I tell you when I tell you. The same goes for Nadine as well as every of the tenants in the house. If anyone tells you about a problem in their apartment, you will show up there on the same day and try to fix it on the spot. If it is a bigger problem, make sure you have it taken care of in 24 hours and you will address them as sir or Mr. and Miss or ma'am. You got that? Yes, sis. Good. Now that we got that out of the way, we need to talk about your chores in this apartment while we are here. You will prepare breakfast for us every morning, as well as lunch and dinner if required. You will do all our laundry and grocery shopping according to our schedules, and you will clean the whole apartment every other day. I sighed. Okay. For the time being you will be banned from entering our bedroom and our bathroom. Awesome, Mom, Nadine cheered. But you just... Shush. You may enter to clean only with our permission. There is a sink in the laundry room, that is where you will take care of your personal hygiene, and here are the old hallway toilets on every floor for anything else. I will set the crib alarm from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That means you will have to be in your pajamas and in bed by the time it activates. You will stay in there all night until it shuts down in the morning. If you activate the alarm, there will be consequences. You will have our breakfast ready every morning at 7 o'clock. Understood by now. I really hoped they wouldn't stay too long. They both climbed on the couch now and Irene lifted package over the edge. It said, "Comfy overnight. Now for your nights. Since you have some trouble staying dry, you will be wearing these." Nadine took a picture of my terrified expression when I realized what they were. Comfy little diapers for you, Alice. Don't they look familiar? Irene asked, "Do you remember what happened when you didn't want to wear them?" What are you talking about, Mom? Nadine wanted to know, did he wear diapers before? Yes, dear. Your grandmother put him in diapers for a while when he started wetting his bed during high school. You, in high school? Right, I remember it was quite a struggle for her to make sure he would keep them on through the night. Wasn't it, Alice? I really didn't want her to talk about this. It had been extremely embarrassing for me, so I tried to plead with her. Sis, please. I really... Oh, shush. I can understand you don't want to be reminded about that time. I tell you what. She opened the package and handed me a pair. You go and put these on right now without making a fuss. I took them quietly out of her hands. And these. You know how they work. She gave me a pair of pink rubber diaper pants. I sighed. As long as you behave and follow all your rules, your little story is safe with me. But Mom, Nadine protested. We need to give him a little bit incentive, dear. Wearing diapers as a grown man must be even more embarrassing than in high school. Fine. She didn't seem happy about it. Now it was finally time to address my clothes. I hoped they wouldn't freak out when they heard they were all in the other couch. Can I at least go and get some of my clothes for tomorrow, sis? I really want to wear something else than this. Go where? I had them all stashed in the other couch, I confessed. All your clothes? Everything except for the stuff in the broom closet. Oh my. The other couch is gone, Alice. I asked the men who delivered the new one to take it with them and dispose of it. I felt a cold shiver running down my spine. Everything was gone. My mind was racing. Can't we call them? I mean, maybe. The couch is gone, Alice. Don't bring it up again, but don't worry, there is still lots of clothes where these came from, she said as she pointed out my current outfit. Now stop arguing and get changed. I want you to be ready for bed in 30 minutes. Don't forget to brush your teeth. They released the brakes and pulled away the couch so I could get out. I headed off to the laundry room to get undressed and wash myself with the sponge before I slipped into the diapers and rubber pants. They were pull-ups and I put them on like underwear. They were thick and bulky between my legs. The frilled edges of the rubber pants put a tight seal around my legs and waist. Trapped air inside made them appear even more bulky. Irene smiled at the sight of me wearing nothing but my diapers when I came back. Nadine giggled and took some more pictures. You look adorable, Irene said and handed me a new pair of pajamas. The same kind I had worn the night before, but there were hot pink and the glitter print over the chest, said Barbie. Once I had put them on, they made me get into the crib and push the couch back in place. Now you get to go to bed early today, Irene explained. Nadia and I will go out for dinner, and you will stay in there like a good boy. Remember, I will be notified when you trigger the alarm. But sis. What? I didn't have anything to eat all day. Oh, right. I almost forgot. She gave me a peculiar smile and reached down to the side of the couch. Nadine giggled and got her camera ready. Here you go, Irene said and gave me a big bottle with a milky substance inside. It had a rubber teat on top. It's called Joylent and it has everything your body needs in a day. I heard it tastes like formula. I just stared at the huge baby bottle in my hands, not knowing what to say. It has a child-proof cap that will require a special tool to unscrew. It's perfect for the crib. That way you can't spill your drink. It will only come out if you suckle on it. I was still too shocked to think of anything to say. I tried, but Irene cut me off by handing me a second bottle. Here is one more with water to keep you nicely hydrated. Make sure you empty both of them before we get back. I will check later. Now before we go, there is one more thing. She gave me something that looked like a small pink egg. This is your silent alarm clock, she explained. It will start to pulse in the morning. I have set it for you right after the crib alarm deactivates. Let's give it a try tonight. If it fails to wake you up, we may have to try and place it in different spots until we find one where we can be sure you pick up on the vibrations. She pushed a button on her phone and the crib alarm turned on with a little asterisk beep, while Nadine lowered the living room blinds. Then they turned off the lights and walked out the door giggling, leaving me in the dark to contemplate my situation. A minute later I began suckling my dinner.